It's weird, bizarre, wackadoo, unhinged, chaotic. I have no one to root for, but I'm seated. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Selene. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and the miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. Today I want to talk about Love is Blind Season 9. I can't believe we're already at Season 9, almost at Season 10. This season takes place in Denver. And I have to say, from the first 6 episodes, it is the weirdest Love is Blind season I've ever seen. Are people in Colorado okay? Is this a cry for help? I didn't expect the level of weirdos that we're getting this season. I'm finding it entertaining, but if you're someone that likes the romance part of Love is Blind, this is not the season for that. It is pure mess. It's just weird all around. It feels like every couple, every love triangle has some weirdness in it that I don't quite understand, but is fascinating in a way. I don't really know. So the first batch of episodes, we got 6 episodes, and as we've been trending these past few seasons, we got a ton of pod time. We got 5 whole episodes of pods. It kind of started out normal to me. We got some upgrades to the Love is Blind franchise. We got some fun CGI transitions. We had some budget this time around for the music. We got a lot of big pop music needle drops, and that's kind of been the trend recently with Love is Blind, and even The Ultimatum, which isn't even that popular of a show. So the pod started off normal, people on their best behavior. It's not usually my favorite part. It gets a little boring and repetitive. But then a couple of contestants just up and left the experiment. They completely ghosted their connections. So the pods got kind of weird too. But then we got to the honeymoons, and that last episode, episode 6, was a trip from start to finish. I was so gagged that whole episode, so confused. I could not believe everything happening. I feel like it takes the cake for the weirdest reality TV episode I've seen all year. I thought I was rooting for couples before the honeymoons, and after episode 6, there is not a single couple I'm rooting for, and that's weird. I guess there's a couple of them that I could see saying yes at the altar, but there's no one that feels like a hero edit, like a hero couple that's for sure gonna say yes. So I'm gonna go in and talk about each couple. Disclaimer, I am talking about real people, even though in these episodes they're kind of acting like aliens on their first day on planet Earth. They are still real people, I must assume. They exist outside the realm of this very edited TV show. I'm gonna be pretty critical of them because I kind of don't like anyone on this cast, at all. But this video is not meant for these contestants to watch. It's meant for fans of the show, haters of the show, to have our own discussion about this season. I'm not sending anyone hate directly. I would never do that, and I encourage anyone watching to not do that. It's weird. So buckle up, grab a snack, because I already know it's gonna be a long one. There is so much to unpack. Okay, I want to start with Patrick. He's one of the main characters of the pods that we saw. And this is already so convoluted because he is in a web of relationships. We had 5 episodes of pods. We had 6 engaged couples. It was just a lot, and a lot of them had 2 connections or 3 connections that we saw. And maybe it's because fans have been complaining that we don't see people's number 2 choice, or we don't see enough of people's other choices, and now they're showing us. The point is, this season there was way more than love triangles. The shape got way more complex than just a simple triangle. So I want to start with Patrick and Anna's connection, because Patrick had 2 connections, Anna and Kacie, and Anna was his stronger connection, but he actually ended up engaged to Kacie because Anna ghosted the TV show in the middle of the pod's process. It was pretty unfortunate because Patrick and Anna's connection seemed to be really good and really promising to become something. They both had a secondary connection, but with each other they just found a lot more common ground about their backgrounds. They figured out they were both Asian pretty quickly. They both spoke multiple languages. They both have mostly dated white people because Colorado isn't very diverse. I like that they called that out. They even had physical chemistry through the wall. It seemed very promising. And then on a random date with Patrick, she stood him up. She left the experiment. We just got the generic text on the screen that she decided to leave and didn't want to say goodbye. So that's why I classify it as a ghosting, which is interesting because earlier on a different date, she had mentioned she had never ghosted anyone, and now she's ghosted America. From what we saw in the show, I really liked Anna. She was one of the few people on the cast that just gave normal vibes, like relatable, like she could be your bestie. She's what I pictured more people from Colorado to be like. And the last thing we saw of Anna was her talking about how in the real world she's often judged for her appearance and stuff. My main thought was like maybe this impending big stakes reveal was just too much to handle and she was scared. To me, her ghosting felt generally just like protecting herself from a possible rejection or something, because she had 2 connections going really well. And I do get worried on this show for anyone who's not a size 0 rail thin, because fat phobia is so real in our society. I mean, we have 2 men outwardly express their desire for thinner women on this season alone. On Brazil, one guy after the reveal ditched the girl because mostly of her weight and her appearance. So even though I personally feel like it shouldn't matter, in our society it's so real, and maybe she was thinking that way too, I'd be worried for like myself going on there, you know? We don't know what happened with Anna, but the streets are saying she is like Trevor. She had a boyfriend in the real world and she just got on for clout. I mean, this just in, we might learn more soon, but I just saw this on Reddit 2 hours ago. Someone she knew posted some pictures. The pictures were not incriminating, so we take it with a grain of salt. We don't have big evidence yet, but so many times on this show, where there's smoke, there's fire, and the story seems very believable. Yeah, apparently she had a boyfriend and she hid it from production to get on the show. Maybe it was getting too real, but it's weird on Love is Blind because if you're going on the show for clout, then you're only going to be featured on the TV show if you have strong connections. So she should know that if she's going for clout, she's gonna have to like pretend to be engaged to someone or be almost engaged to someone. Maybe this was her plan all along to like get far and then ditch. We don't know how true these rumors are, but just know they're out there and I'm gonna be keeping my eye out for if more tea drops on that. It's so sad because I liked Anna. She was the only cast member I liked, and now I'm like weary of that. And I'm weary in general on Love is Blind because so many times like the nicest, coolest people end up to be frauds. We've seen it time and time again. We'll see what happens. We will see her later in the real world when we see Pod Squad, and she will have a confrontation with Patrick. Even before knowing the rumors about her, I didn't really ship them getting together like a Zach and Bliss situation or anything. Like, they had a good chemistry, they had a good thing going. But honestly, I thought like Patrick maybe was a little too bro-y for her, to be honest. And now I don't know how I feel about her, so I don't ship them. It's confusing and weird, and everyone on this cast needs therapy and to I don't even know what to say. But man, Patrick really had some bad luck this season. Once Anna left, Patrick was left with his weaker connection, Kacie. She's a Sydney Sweeney look-alike, wannabe influencer type, and they really didn't have much in common at all. Watching their relationship unfold, it's a chop. It was rough. It was an extremely shaky foundation. So I got so excited when he started really bonding with Anna, because his thing with Kacie, I was like, that's not going anywhere. They had a moment where he was hesitant to admit his ethnicity to her just because he has faced a lot of discrimination being the only Asian person in the room a lot of the time in Colorado. But he ended up telling her, and her reaction was very like, my best friend's Asian. Not that, but like her brothers are dating people of other ethnicities and her sister lives in Korea or something. So that was kind of like, she's like, it doesn't matter, whatever. Their conversations just felt awkward and like she was forcing it. Her storyline, and we saw how it ended up, so like it was clear she was way more obviously there for clout. Like Anna didn't seem like that type of person, but neither did Trevor. So I don't put it past literally anybody, because being on TV is such a draw for people. Literally anybody, but Kacie in particular, she looked like a clout chaser type. She's been reached out to join other dating reality TV shows. So it felt like she was forcing this thing with Patrick. I thought it was very telling when a producer asked him, like, what do y'all have in common again? He was like, I don't know, I can't remember. That tells me everything I need to know, that y'all just have a surface level little relationship in the pods. And she's kind of trying to pull validation out of him, and his validation is very half-hearted. I really feel like Anna's ghosting really threw him for a loop, and Kacie was just like next up on the list, and he was scared to be alone, instead of him like recognizing that this other connection really is not anything. And there was also a big red flag with Kacie with the story about her ex, and how her ex encouraged her to do dating reality TV. He encouraged her to go on reality TV dating shows. The previous one she got asked to do, and now this one, he encouraged it. He was very cocky, like, I'll be waiting for you when you get back. He just seemed like he was trying to like pimp her out to these TV shows to get her Instagram followers, and then probably ride on her coattails financially on that. And Kacie was trying to say, like, I'm done with him, he's toxic, I should have left him the first time he encouraged me to go on a dating show. But Patrick is, you know, hesitant about it, as he should be. That's a huge red flag. And so it kind of felt like Patrick was pulling away, but then Kacie brought out the super secret final weapon of sexy talk, and it was so cringy. She went so far with it. She was doing a whole little scenario in the pods, like dirty talking him. It was cringe. And again, it felt like this desperate, like, forcing it thing to stay on the TV show. And Patrick was red as a tomato, but I do think it helped convince him to keep going with this connection despite the red flags. So once we got to the reveal, this couple fell apart quickly. They had a pretty awkward reveal, like they went through the motions. It kind of felt a little like Leo and Brittany that one season, and it was just very nervous energy. Like, for some reason he proposed behind the bench, like almost in the bushes in the back. It was like, what are you doing? What are you doing back there? I think he was just so nervous. But they went through all the motions, and then we get a scene after in the hotel, off the set and everything. One of these like later at the hotel moments. And basically she can't get past his looks. And I think this is the first time we see it so blatantly on US Love is Blind. This never really happens because honestly, Love is Blind has a very high threshold for hotness. Like, yes, a lot of people look regular-ish or like normal people you'd see in the real world, but they still have to have like a certain level of like fit or height or nice face or, you know, like a combination of things that make them, you know, TV ready. So even the normal looking people, they're good looking people, they're handsome people in the real world, but then every season they cast a couple of people that are like Instagram model level hot. I hate like harping on people's looks, but like usually on a Love is Blind season, people are a base level attractive, and then there's a few people that could go on Love Island. That level of hotness is very high, very specific, and I feel like Kacie meets that level. At least she manicures herself to get to that level, I feel like. And Patrick is very much someone that would not be cast on Love Island. So she recognizes this and she wants to leave the experiment, and then proceeds to talk to Patrick in one of the weirdest breakup scenes I've ever seen. She goes to talk to him but does not communicate any of these feelings. She just says, I can't go to Mexico, I can't go to Baja. She just will not stop grabbing him, kissing him, and telling him she loves him, but is clearly trying to break up. Like, her tone with him and her tone with producers when he's not in the room is very different. With producers, it's very cold, like, I can't do this, I know how it's gonna look. And with him, she's like, but I love you, like crying. And girl, you already look bad. Now you just look worse for not saying it, just like cutting it off. And he's confused with all these mixed signals, thinking like, oh, we're just gonna go meet up in Denver and continue this. I was glad he wasn't getting the hint, honestly, because I wanted her to say it. I wanted her to just say no, because he kept saying, I'll see you in Denver, I'll see you soon, blah, blah, and she wouldn't respond to that. She wouldn't say, yes, we will see each other, or yeah, I want to continue this. He thought she just wanted to slow things down. It was so weird and awkward, and she kept just like grabbing his face and straddling him, mounting him. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not giving, I want to break up. And he even asked her directly, are you breaking up? And she's just like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I didn't care that he was Delulu, because I wanted her to say, like, I wanted him to be Delulu so far that she finally would be like, no, I don't want to see you again. It's not going to work out. But she just kept saying, I love you. So he was like, well, she loves me, so we're going to keep dating? That was so bizarre. Like, I know he should have taken the hint. Like, in that situation, I think I would take the hint, but also I'd be pissed. I'd be like, say it then. Say it with your chest. She's like, I don't know how you're ever gonna get my phone number. Girl, write it down on a piece of paper. What? That was crazy. And I feel so bad for Patrick. I mean, he wasn't like my favorite person. I don't feel like there was anything about him that stood out a lot to me. Aside from his background and talking about the struggles of that, I think a lot of the screen time was on that. Aside from that, he called himself like a basic Colorado bro, and I believe that. So I didn't care about him too much, but it was really sad to see him rejected, and not even like her having the balls to just say it, even after such a long conversation. Like, she could have started easy, and then if he wasn't getting the hint, like, say it, girl, just say it. I bet you anything next we hear from Patrick, he's gonna say, I never heard from her again. And we know the reason she left him. She says it straight up to the producers that the physical attraction is not gonna grow, and that's that. She has no problem saying it directly to production. So girl, it's just so weird. And that was the top of episode 6, and it just continued weird. So next is another doozy of a contestant, Megan, or Sparkle Megan, as she calls herself. She's making my job extra hard because she had 3 whole connections in the pods that she was all in between. She's a rich girl boss, career woman type, but also into more traditional gender roles in the home. The streets are saying she is conservative MAGA, so that's out there. That was not mentioned on the show, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much in this video. I'll see what more comes out as time goes on. She made a lot of her wealth in oil and gas. She talks about her wealth and her luxurious lifestyle a lot, so she's definitely in the tax bracket that would definitely lean conservative and lean Republican when voting, and that's just like more loaded than it's ever been in the last decade or so of the United States. I don't want to get too into it because I just have too much to talk about this video, but maybe in part 2 with the next batch of episodes, we'll hear some of that in the show. But that is something going around on social media that's being discussed. So she calls herself Sparkle Megan, a nickname I fucking hate. I appreciate the sentiment. I love sparkly things, but it just has no creativity or ring to it or anything. So her strongest connection was actually with Blake, but Blake had a strong connection with Anna, and after Anna ghosted, Blake ghosted. So Blake was gone, and Megan was left with her second and third choices. Megan's second choice was Mike, and Mike was a major red flag from the beginning, though still feels very compatible with Megan. They both seem very red-pilled. Also, when I did my live stream talking about the cash reveal, people were saying that Mike is a scammer, that he's in a cult, and he kind of mentioned the cult thing in one of the pod dates, that he like lives by this cult. He didn't call it a cult. I don't know what word to use, but it sounded like a cult to me. It was like for rich people, and I was like, oh my god, this is some Illuminati shit. I don't know much of the tea about that, but he was a red flag in so many ways. He was a smug asshole the whole time. His approach to dating is clearly like to play mind games and manipulate his partner instead of like be an equal or be like cool and normal. Like at a certain point he finds out she has another connection and he confronts her about it. He's always taking jabs at this other guy, like saying, I would never get tattoos. I look down on you if you drive a Kia. Meanwhile, the other guy has tattoos and drives a Kia. So he starts like demanding a lot of reassurance from her and validation, and is like, I'm gonna walk out of here to show you how much you want me and stuff like that. Like playing these games, and then by the time she'd be crying, he'd be like, just kidding. I'm just having fun, whatever. It just felt like he kept doing this passive aggressive thing where he would like make jokes about her other connection or about how she was treating him in the pods. But then he'd be like, I'm not bothered, I'm not upset, while clearly being bothered and upset. So yeah, I really didn't want him to end up with anyone. I did not want him to have more screen time, but he did seem kind of compatible with Megan, I will say. But Megan just had a gut instinct. She probably picked up on a lot of these red flags. I just feel like their conversations were always very draining, and that probably took a toll on her, and her other connection was not like that at all. It was the complete opposite. So she decided to end things with Mike, and Mike was surprisingly chill about the breakup, surprisingly understanding, but he still was like taking jabs at the other guy, but kept being coy about it, like, I'm not gonna say what I'm thinking, like, just be careful, you're making a mistake, be careful with this other guy, which for some reason made Megan think Jordan, the other guy, was really ugly. I didn't get that as like what Mike was implying. Maybe he was implying he was ugly, because Jordan's not like particularly ugly. Like compared to Mike, they're different types, but not like, I don't know, Mike seemed to have like a big ego about his looks, and like one of the other guys was saying, oh, she's gonna need an EpiPen when she sees you, like referencing Jess, season 6. Jess, yes. Mike, no, like he's a handsome enough guy, but not like EpiPen worthy handsome, come on. So yeah, it didn't work out with Mike, but Megan was with Jordan, and Jordan is definitely one of the most likable people on the cast. Relative, you know. He actually seems like normal in the pods and easygoing and has good banter, good conversation. He did mention like him and Megan align politically at one point, which is interesting because he does not give MAGA vibes to me or conservative vibes, though we don't know the politics based on just a TV show. It's just assumptions from online, who she follows, that type of thing. Just based on the pods, I liked Jordan a lot, and he had an uphill battle with me because in the cast reveal, he admitted he drinks chicken every morning. You heard that right, not eats chicken, drinks chicken with lemonade water flavoring. And every time I looked at him, I could not stop thinking about that. But then as the pods went on, he was nice and he was cool and chill. And I think the biggest thing with him is like, he didn't have this giant toxic masculine ego that a lot of these guys have. He had very self-deprecating humor. He was very goofy about himself. He just didn't take himself so serious. And that was very refreshing for a man on the show. And I think it's what drew Sparkle Megan to him, because their conversations were always easy and nice and pleasant and funny. They had banter. Also, a big part of his storyline is that he's a single father. I think it's the first time we've seen a father claim his children on Love is Blind. We have seen fathers before. The bar is truly in hell after Tyler and then Patrick UK, who conveniently left out completely that they had children in the real world. Well, Patrick had one on the way. So Jordan and Megan's connection was more of a slow burn. She was getting friend vibes at first, and I still think that's kind of what they are, friend vibes, because he honestly just seems like someone that can get along with anybody. And I think she finds it refreshing because she's dated so many Mike types and older guy types, older wealthy guys. She dated a billionaire, she said, and that he never had time for her. So Megan and Jordan kind of are giving me like Hallmark movie vibes where the big city career woman comes back to the small town and she falls in love with the small town guy who's running grandma's bed and breakfast during Christmas time and has a son, like a young kid that's really cute. The trope really works in a Hallmark Christmas movie, but in real life, I just don't see it working for them. Their reveal went fine. I think she was expecting like a troll because she just assumed Mike's comments about making a big mistake were about Jordan's looks, but Jordan is a fine looking guy, so she was pleasantly surprised. So their reveal went well, their honeymoons were going okay until the pool party when everyone was kind of acting crazy, but Jordan was being annoying. He was likely intoxicated. But as soon as Megan told them, like, hey, you're being annoying, he was like, I'll stop. So he seems very willing to work with her, and she does too. Compared to some of the other couples that have had explosive moments, they are on the more solid end of things. But I still don't feel like they're going to be very compatible. I think she's very used to this luxury lifestyle, and it's kind of what they're setting up with them. He just doesn't have these interests in, like, Rolex watches and Cartier bracelets and whatever fancy ass car she drives that she didn't even want to admit. It's just really different once you get into the real world and living together and stuff. Like it's very different kind of priorities. Like she's just very money oriented. I don't think they're gonna make it. As much as the trope works in romance movies and whatever, it's just not realistic. Often in the Hallmark movie, like the city girl adapts more to the small town casual vibe rather than like the small town guy going to the city with her and getting luxurious and career, you know, like that's usually not the way the trope goes. So I don't see Megan being down to like casual her life down to where Jordan's is at. Okay, next couple is Allie and Anton. Finally, a straightforward couple. They were the first to get engaged. They had no other connections. Love it. Honestly, there's not much to say about them because they got engaged in episode 1 and then we didn't see them for like 5 episodes. So I kind of forgot they were there. But Allie, she's Brazilian, meaning she is gorgeous. Like she would get the call from Love Island immediately if she wanted it. Her profile, I reckon it's a very nice nose job. And then Anton, he was giving Italian vibes, but he's actually of Russian descent. They both bond over learning English as a second language and working at McDonald's as their first job. That's pretty much all we got. And then at the reveal, I got a weird ass vibe from him too. I'm telling you, every couple has a weirdo at least, or 2. I feel like this couple might be one people are rooting for or expecting to say yes at the altar because they are one of the most solid, it looks like. But that's not saying much because all of them are really shaky. It's just at the reveal when he saw her, I was just uncomfortable because he got that dog in him. It's come to my attention, I don't think I used that phrase right, but the dog jumped out, the dogs were let out, whatever. I'm trying to say that like as soon as he saw how hot she was, he turned like animalistic. It creeped me out a little bit. I might be the only one, I haven't really seen comments about that because I think there's too many fish to fry in the cast, but like honestly compared to Patrick, who also was with like a Instagram model hot girl, when he saw her, he was shocked. But he was like, I wish people knew how nice she was and how her personality, like I can see how people judge her on her hotness, on her looks. Like it felt more kind than this guy was just in pure shock and like looked like he won the lottery. But in the way that makes her feel like an object to be won or a prize. Oh, and also blatantly he did say like, oh, I don't know, I was a little worried about how she would look and I don't know how I would react if she was twice her size or something. And that's why I get concerned for anyone who's not rail thin, because someone who's twice Allie's size is literally not even plus size. She is that tiny. I personally didn't like his vibe at the reveal. It just didn't. It didn't feel like love. It felt like lust. So predictions, we didn't see much of them in the honeymoons. They're doing all right. They seem to be setting up this conflict with them about money. And she kind of is giving like she might want to be a trophy wife or something, because in the teaser she's talking about like, could you with your job like afford me being at home and still being able to like afford Botox and stuff, and he's kind of like And at the honeymoons they talk about their ring, and she talks about her ideal ring would be like $10,000, and he's like, no. They're setting up something about money there with them. Also in the teaser he's kind of like annoyed by how messy she is. She seems to just like leave a mess everywhere. So they do look like they're gonna have conflicts. We just haven't seen them yet. I don't have a big prediction for them yet. Right now I feel like nobody's saying yes at the altar. And I imagine in the next batch of episodes this couple's gonna be a lot more featured. Okay, next couple is another one with a lot going on. Edmond and Kalybriah. They're straightforward, at least. They were each other's only connection that we saw. No love triangles here, but they ended weird as hell. Edmond is such a kooky guy. He might be the kookiest guy we've seen on a Love is Blind season. So I already knew he was gonna be a little wild, because in the cast reveal he mentioned he eats his own boogers. He admitted that. And me, the chat, everybody was like, what the fuck? Why would he ever say this, first of all, on top of doing it? But out of the cast reveal, he was one of the most interesting. He's very fashionable. He's like a rollerblader, and he spent a lot of time rollerblading in the UK. In the pods, we do learn he had a very tough background in foster care, which was a really sad story to hear about. He does get emotional early to KB, and it's really nice. She reassures him that it's okay to cry, doesn't make him less of a man, and I really appreciated that from her. But then as the episodes go on, we see that Edmond, he really is crying at everything. The wind blows the wrong way and this man cries. He cried when this other guy, Brenden, got broken up with. Like, he would just look at Brenden after his heartbreak and he would start crying. It was like nice, I guess, but it's just, I feel like he's struggling to regulate his emotions. To me, it's nice to see sensitivity from a man, but whether he was a man, a woman, whoever, I would say, like, are you okay? Like, do you need maybe some help to like learn some coping? I don't know. But that's not the biggest issue so far. The biggest issue with him is he has some bizarre, nasty habits. After watching the first 6 episodes, I understand why he eats his own boogers and why he admitted it. He will put his mouth on anything. He put his mouth on the floor of the pod's room. Not the pod room, sorry, the boys' room. The floor. And he was just making out with it for fun. And then he rubbed a bunch of sunscreen on Kalybriah's feet and then was like licking the feet with sunscreen. I'm like, he just put sunscreen on there. That's so nasty. It's no longer surprising he would eat his own boogers. Like, that's honestly the least nasty of those 3 things, probably. And then second, I understand why he admitted the booger thing, because this man has no filter. None at all. At any point. Like, at the review in the confessional, he's like, am I gonna cry with a boner? And he does. Every thought that passes through his mind just comes right out. He's always bouncing off the walls. He's so hyper. Just a very, very chaotic energy. Up until episode 6, I liked him a lot. He was so funny, so fun to watch, entertaining. The nasty habits were wild, but okay, I guess. Whatever. There's an authenticity to it, I guess. But then, at the end of episode 6, this shit went so downhill, because, I mean, Kalybriah, I liked her a lot too at the beginning. I simply appreciated that she was a little less traditional in her values, and she believes in like 50-50 split between a couple, and I appreciate the representation. Thank you. I always feel like I'm the crazy one for believing in that. Whatever. I was like, good for her. She seemed cool. Her profession's cool and social work and stuff. Despite not being very conservative in her values, she does want a man to like protect her. It gives the vibe of like she wants both parties to protect each other in a marriage, you know? And she's tired of being tough all the time, being hyper independent, and wants someone to lean on. That's the vibe I got. Not like Megan, where she's like, I like cleaning your plate after dinner, or whatever she said. Kalybriah wants someone to step up if she needs help. That becomes a conflict for them, because in the honeymoons they're talking about like this hypothetical scenario, if like a random man grabbed her, what would Edmond do? And Edmond's like, I would tell security. He's like, I just don't want any trouble. I'm nice. Like, he's not confrontational. But she doesn't really like that. So that was kind of a conflict they had. And it was an argument. They kind of came together at the end and they were chill. So I was like, okay, maybe they have differences in approaches here. Maybe they could work through it. I was still on board with that couple at that point. But then once we get to the pool party where they meet up with everyone else, we learned that Kalybriah wants to wait until marriage to have sex with Edmond. It's not a virginity thing. It kind of seems to me she just really wants insurance for the I do. Like, she's trying to hold that card to like encourage him to say yes at the altar. It's the old adage of like, if you give away the milk for free, he's not going to want to buy the cow. Not saying that's a saying I say, but I've heard it. But anyway, Edmond seems fine with this, but then he tells the boys he's not fine with this. And he's like, I don't believe in this. Like, I don't think we should get married before exploring that, which is very fair, and I agree with him. The thing I don't really agree with is that he's telling the boys and not telling her this. She seems to have no clue that this is an issue. And then after the pool party, their relationship takes a huge turn. Gagged me. The way I gagged so many times this episode. Just like the couples fell apart. Edmond has a full-on crash out about the sex thing. He gets pissed off that all the other couples had sex the first night. I do gotta say, he is wasted. So this argument felt very like arguing with a drunk person, but the problem with that is just that like a lot of times people say the truth when they're drinking and say real things, so real problems. There were a lot of problematic things with what Edmond was bringing up. He was pissed off, first of all, that the other guys all had sex and he didn't. Even though he's so nice to her, he's rubbing her feet, he's too nice. He's so drunk. It's a mess. He's mad that the other couples did it and they did not. And this was a recurring theme for Edmond, that he compares himself a lot to others. He cares what other people think of him, while Kalybriah does not care at all what other people think. And then he's also pissed at her because she used to have one-night stands with people. So he feels that because he's engaged to her, he's committed to her, he deserves sex, because these other guys she had one-night stands with had it with no effort, you know? It's very slut-shamey vibes. I feel like it's messed up to feel you're entitled to sex. Mind you, it's been one night together. One full day of knowing each other in person. And Kalybriah is being strange in that she is saying like, oh, sex is just so much more sacred to you than to me, to Edmond. But I'm like, if you're making him wait, doesn't that mean you find it more sacred? That argument made zero sense to me. But I still think it's messed up that he is just feeling entitled to it. And I don't think this crash out and tantrum, frankly, is gonna help that. Like, he was hung up on that she had had one-night stands before, and just like, that it's different with him, and it's just like, it was reading slut-shamey to me. He also says he feels he's more emotionally locked in than her, that he's too nice. People tell me he's just crying, whining, screaming, throwing up. Just a full-on tantrum that makes him seem very immature. Like, I understand having an issue with your partner making you wait till marriage. It was just like the way he blew up and cried and whined like a little baby that wanted some candy, and instead of having like a normal conversation about it. But he was so wasted. So it's impossible to have a productive conversation with someone this drunk. It does make me really question this couple when I was rooting for them so hard. I just think he needs some therapy and some unpacking and some emotional regulation, coping mechanisms. And she didn't really seem that scared off by the tantrum in that scene. I wonder if she's just like, maybe she was drunk too, maybe she's like realizing he's wasted, like, and doesn't think that much of it. I don't know. I'm interested to see the next scene with this couple, and if he's gonna like say I was out of line. But he's so kooky in general. Like, even sober, he has no filter, while at the same time being very conflict avoidant. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Edmond is such a wild card. I'm interested to see what happens, but I have no idea. Like, I cannot give you a prediction for this couple or anything. We'll have to see after next episodes. Okay, the next couple is Madison and Joe. Average Joe, as I call him, because there's really no distinctive trait about him that I could recall right now. Like, during karaoke, he sings Queen songs, groundbreaking. And then Madison, I liked Madison actually. She kind of gives Drew Barrymore vibes. And what's unique about Madison is that she has an eye condition that may eventually cause her to be blind. I've talked about it before. It's like interesting to explore that finally on Love is Blind, because blind is in the name and blindness is a disability, something that can happen to people. I've always kind of wondered in the back of my mind if they would feature someone blind on the show. So Madison is that representation for this eye condition, which I was actually very familiar with because way back in the day on cycle 3 of America's Next Top Model, Amanda had the same condition, and she was very open about it. It was a big part of her storyline. I gotta give it to Top Model. It's, yeah, very problematic in hindsight. It's a mess. It is one of the reality shows that raised me, and I feel like as a very sheltered suburban kid for a lot of my early teens and stuff, I didn't get exposed to a lot of different things, but watching Top Model, I learned about so many walks of life and types of people, and just like people would be of all different backgrounds, and I just learned so much from that show, including that this eye condition exists. And Amanda was iconic on that show. She conceived her son to the hour on 9/11. I miss the early 2000s reality TV so bad. That is just such an unhinged thing to say. So Average Joe and Madison connect. They kind of have goofy banter. This was totally like a forgotten couple kind of, because in the proposal, this was the first time they did this on Love is Blind. They were flashing back to their journey and their dates, but we didn't originally see those dates. At the proposal, we were getting flashbacks of things we hadn't seen. Very bravo of them, to be honest. But then this is another couple that at the reveal, things start falling apart. He is not into her physically. He doesn't say that. They go through the motions, but he does mention she is not what he expected. And that's usually code for I'm not physically attracted to this person. He even like forgets to propose, which I think is kind of a sign, whether conscious or subconscious. And then at the honeymoon, we hear more from him in confessionals about how he prefers thinner women, which is just so annoying because Madison is so beautiful, so chill and nice and cool from what I've seen. And it's really wild to me, the fat phobia and how blatant it is this season. We haven't really seen it said out loud in previous seasons. Maybe it's been there, but it's not like articulated just like plainly like that. And I don't know if it's because it's Colorado and people really are into fitness and being fit and active there, or I don't know if it's just because in the zeitgeist like fat phobia has become a lot bigger with the rise of GLP-1s and Ozempic and things. Losing weight and being super thin has become a lot more mainstream and in fashion now. I don't know what it is, or it's just like fat phobia is always there. That I believe that as well. It was just icky. He recounted like the reveal and how it was like an oh shit moment. I wasn't expecting that. Like I feel like he keeps calling her a that. And as usual with these kinds of couples, she starts picking up on this and keeps probing him to see like, are you okay? You good? And he is just saying like, yeah, we've seen it multiple times on Love is Blind. Like the guy, the American flag guy who hated heavy makeup on the girl. It's kind of like that, like he's just going through the motions and pretending, and she senses it, but he won't say it, so she just kind of keeps carrying on. It's super awkward to watch. He seems totally checked out, and she keeps asking for reassurance, and he reassures her, but he's clearly lying, and this pissed me off so much. I guarantee no one knows what I'm about to say. They fucking wasted a Carly Rae Jepsen Run Away With Me needle drop on his lying ass. I was so pissed. The way I activated when I heard the saxophone, That's such a brilliant pop song, one of the best pop songs ever made, wasted on stupid ass lying average Joe. That's absolutely unacceptable. I'm sorry. So don't think because he's not really into her and checked out of the relationship, he's not still hitting that, because he is, even though he keeps saying she's not his physical type, that he hopes the attraction will grow over time. And then this couple also unravels. Oh my god. So they go to the pool party with everybody, and what the fuck was in the punch at the pool party? Was it spiked? Was it laced with Molly, MDMA? I don't know, because the way everyone was acting crazy at this party, and average Joe got really fucked up, and to the point where he was not there. He was not all there at the party already. He kept like ignoring Madison. She would come up and he would just be with the bros and whatever. It was super awkward, and she asked him like, are you okay? Why do you keep ignoring me? And like, are you here? And he's not here. So he tells her, I'm gonna go back to the room. Don't come with me. I need to take a nap. He's gonna sleep it off. He's that fucked up. And then she comes back to check on him, and this scene went from a romance show to fucking thriller. I was scared. I was unsettled. She's trying to check in on him and see if he's okay, and he is disoriented. He doesn't know where he is. He's like, oh, you're all dressed up. Where are you going? And she's like, I'm back from the pool party. What? He keeps being confused. Keeps asking her like, where were you? Where'd you come from? Where are you going? And she's like, you're freaking me out. And he's like, what are you talking about? Stop being freaked out. It's unsettling. I mean, he was either just so blackout, wasted, drunk. He combined some drugs with the alcohol, or he's mentally ill. Less likely scenario based on how much drinking we saw, but something is up. But it was so creepy. I got scared for her. Just like something about him being so disoriented. Like, how do I know if I'm in the room with him, he's not gonna just like attack me? Like, what if he thinks I'm a robber or something? I don't know. It felt kind of dangerous just for him to be so out of it. He didn't like make any signs that he was gonna attack or something, but just him not knowing where he was and telling her like, coming in hot, stop freaking out, stop saying that, like kind of paranoid. This whole scene, I was like, just what is going on? I guess the way they put music over it, and she was just like freaking out, and he was being so disoriented. It freaked me out. So my prediction is this couple is not making it, no way. He's not into her at all. He's checked out. Unsettling interaction aside, he just seems to be like totally pulled away and doesn't seem to be comforted by her presence. She was being very nice, like checking in, giving him water and stuff, being nice, and he was just like annoyed by her. If it weren't for the teaser showing scenes of them, I would assume they're breaking up next scene. Maybe he'll just be like, I don't remember any of that. I was blackout. Oops. Maybe they get back sort of on track, but even the track they were on was shaky as fuck. So it was just weird. It was just like, why were there so many weird moments and interactions? What is going on? So finally, our last couple is Nick and Annie. Fuck them. I don't want to talk about them. Just cut the video now. Just kidding. I'll talk about them, but I'm gonna be mad. This couple is annoying as hell, and I hate them, but we will get to that. They're also annoying because they both have a secondary connection. Nick is a luxury watch dealer. That's his big thing, and he has two connections, Kait and Annie. And Kait, she dodged a bullet big time. He kind of love bombed Kait really early. He said, I love you. He just like came out with it, and she was like, oh, okay. She was taking her time with it. But as the dates go on, he still has another connection, Annie. And Kait is kind of like, whoa, you already said I love you to me like back then. How can you still have such a strong other connection if you love me? And she's asking him deeper questions about what love means to him and if he really loves her, and like, it just doesn't feel right. And she kind of feels like it's love bombing, which it was. He's really emotional and upset that she's like questioning his love for her. But they actually like come back together after this argument. But then he asks her if she would consider a path with God at some point. And she says very directly, no, I've never been religious. And he gets pissed off, turns on her completely, because in a previous date she had said that after her mom passed from a really brutal cancer, she stopped believing that a God could exist. He took that to mean, like, I was religious before, and then that made me not religious. It just annoys me so much that he heard this story about her not believing in God, because how could a God let cancer so brutally happen to someone, which is a fair point. And what he took from that story is like, she's questioning her faith in God right now, but someday she can come back. Like, what is it about certain Christians that makes them like get off on converting someone or like making them see the path? Like, it's not good enough to find someone already Christian, already religious. It's like they have to bring them to the like, shut the fuck up. And he fully breaks up with her just in this conversation because she sees no future with God and he can't handle that. And she's very shocked and blindsided, caught off guard that that is it. That was like the deal breaker. They had been really strong up until that point. It even resolved this love bombing argument. And later he describes this conversation with Kait, this breakup conversation, as Kait was throwing daggers at him. I hate this man so much. Yeah, actually, you should leave Kait alone, and maybe you should go with the homophobic girl. I think she's more your speed. So yeah, as soon as Nick found out Kait wouldn't be down for religion, he ran to Annie and told her I love you real quick, like in that conversation, and got his plan right back on track with just a new girl. And she was like, I love you too. Oh. He was just love bombing anyone willing to take him, and Annie was the sucker to do it. Annie is more his speed, also Christian, believes in hitting kids as punishments, as discipline. And then he asks her the question, what if your child was LGBTQ+? And her answer is blatantly homophobic. She says that she would love her kid no matter what, but that she also wouldn't be like yay about it, and that she feels it's kind of a fad and kind of peer pressure that a kid would believe they are LGBT. And he agrees with her. Nick agrees. This is a bold fucking statement from a fucking drag queen. Like, okay, lashes, okay, wig, ugly extensions, okay, spray tan. I can tell she does not know a single gay person in her life based on how she looks. Looking like a bootleg Ariana Madix. I simply cannot wait for Trixie and Katia to react to this season and hopefully lay into this bitch. I just will not tolerate blatant homophobia. Like, I'm glad they told us with their chest to our faces so that we know exactly who they are. It's hard with these other people that are, you know, undercover secret MAGA, like they have shame about it, they're scared. But that belief system is fully mainstream in the United States right now. It is at the forefront, so people are comfortable. They're comfortable with that. They're fine with that. It's just a difference of opinion. For me, I just simply don't believe it's a difference of opinion thing. It's a bigoted, ignorant, hateful thing, and that's that. I'm not gonna tolerate homophobia, not in this climate, not ever. Being LGBTQ+ is not a choice, but being a hateful, ignorant asshole about it is. It makes me very concerned if they ever have children, especially when they're saying they believe in hitting children and they wouldn't accept that a child is LGBTQ+. That is very concerning. So fuck them. We've seen it before on Love is Blind. People have been homophobic around these same topics, and I hate them too. And fuck them too. Also, there's some weird repressed stuff with Nick. It feels like he tells a story about how his mom came into his room one day and asked him point blank if he was gay. He was shocked by this and tried all these different things to prove to his mom that he wasn't. I just want to say that if I was his mother, I would have asked him as well. So yeah, I hate these two. I mean, sure, they're made for each other. They're giving quintessential Republican couple with his khaki pants and blue blazer and her ugly spray tan and extensions. It's a match made in heaven. Annie did have like another connection with Brenden, who was boring as a rock. He was really torn up about her choosing Nick over him, but Nick ran to her and love bombed her, and she was like, he's saying I love you, and Brenden was a lot more reserved and wasn't saying I love you. So you snooze, you lose, pal. I don't know what to tell you. You dodged a bullet in my opinion, but he probably had the same beliefs if she was that into him. Who knows? But yeah, Brenden was there and he was very torn up. He like begged her to reconsider all the stuff, but she didn't. She went with Nick, and honestly, they're kind of the most solid couple at this point. I do think they are very compatible. They have similar hateful values. I don't really know if they're setting up anything with Nick and Annie. They feel very like yes man-y to each other, like people pleasy. I didn't really see any like potential big conflict with them or something. So we'll see. So if you made it to the end of this video, congratulations. It's a long one. There was so much to unpack. This season is so weird. There's like so much I hate about it, but there's so much that's entertaining. So I'm seated for the next few episodes. I don't think it's as bad as season 5, but I do think it's gonna be a mess, and like we're not getting any grand love stories out of it, sadly, for the people that do enjoy that part of it. To me, it's not like that important, even though it does make for the best seasons have both drama and good love stories. So this season, I can already tell, is not going to be towards the top of my ranking, but I think it will be entertaining. It has been entertaining so far, and just like the kooky, wild, unhinged, chaotic weirdness of everybody. Stay tuned for part 2 after the next batch of episodes drops. I will be here. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!